Again, I'd like to welcome everyone to how to get more patients from your website. This is a product-based webinar, so I will be showing you a demonstration on how you can do some improvements and navigate our website editor. All right, so today I will be covering a few things. First off, we're going to be covering the importance of a website. And of course, we're going to be covering creating a great website for users. I will then be toggling to the website demonstration to show you how you can apply what we've been learning throughout the presentation. I'll also be giving you some tips for search engine optimization, and I will be including some additional resources that you can download and read through if you have any specific questions about website design. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the importance of a website. So having a website is very important, and here's why. First off, it's available 24/7. People can learn about your business, submit questions, schedule appointments, and they don't have to call or have someone in your office to give them simple answers to questions that they may have. It's easier maintenance than a lot of your traditional marketing materials. So for example, with a website, if you want to update any copy or anything like that, then you're probably going to just do it directly onto the website. It can publish it instantly, which of course is easier than when you do something more traditional like postcards. You have to wait for prints, review the prints, and then, have them sent out. A website is also the cornerstone of your digital marketing. No matter what you decide to do with digital marketing, and sometimes even offline, it's going to be the central hub of everything, including SEO, PPC if you decide to do it, social media, and then if you're sending out mailers, it definitely helps to have your website listed on the mailer so that people can find more information about you. Because only so much shows up on a postcard, or there's only so much information you can put on there. It's also an online representation of your brand. So a website is, think of it as an extension of your office and the presentation that you, or the sort of the impression that you would like to make on potential patients from your office. So of course your office is going to be clean. It's going to be a comfortable waiting area with some activities for kids, and you want to have that same inviting feel on your website. So you're going to want a clean layout and brand design that fits how you would present yourself physically in real life. Furthermore, a website provides information. Like I said, it gives your potential patients information not only on the services you provide or any services that they think they may be looking for. It also helps answer frequently asked questions like, do you accept my insurance? Or, how much time is spent on a cleaning, or when can I schedule a cleaning? And so it essentially saves you and the patient's time, so that hopefully by the time they're ready to call you, it's to schedule an appointment and not necessarily to ask questions. And then ultimately a website generates leads. What you're trying to do with a website is essentially capture as many people as you can, or potential patients as you can, so that they'll come in and see you. All right, so let's talk about what having a great website, or how you can start developing a great website, right? So essentially a great website has elements that pleases both users and search engines. Okay, so that's when you're thinking about what content to add, how to lay out your pictures, your website design, all of that, you have to put yourself in the mindset of both users and search engines, which I'll be covering both in this presentation. All right, so let's go over some of those considerations now. Consider who's going to build, design, and maintain your website. So that's something that, a website is not just a one-time thing. Once you have it up, there is continual maintenance that needs to be applied. So you think about who's going to be doing that. Is it going to be you? Is it going to be, registered hygienist? Do you have time to do that? Just some, food for thought. Also, is the design pleasing to visitors? It's, like I said, it's first impressions should be, or the first impressions that you make should be positive, so the design is going to play into that. Is the website mobile friendly? So a lot of healthcare related searches are now done on a mobile device, so your website should be mobile friendly so that people can see it. And then how accessible is the information on your website? Is your content consistent with the services that you offer? Interestingly enough, we've had some dentists that put up services that they don't offer, which is, it's kind of it's advertising something that you don't do, which is counterintuitive. And finally, can the website capture basic patient information? Just name at phone number, contact details, um, and then maybe some insurance information so that you can get the process started. What essentially these considerations boil down to is user experience, right? So all of these considerations influence how a user is seeing your site. So let's define user experience. It's essentially the overall experience of a person using a website, especially in terms of how easy and pleasing it is to use. Overall, there are about 4 contributing factors to user experience on a website, and I've already touched on these through the considerations. The first being design, consider how does it look. The next being navigation, can people find what they're looking for navigating through your site? The third being content, is the information relevant to the user's question? And then finally, mobile, can you find, read, understand the info on a mobile device? All right, so let's go dig a little deeper into design. So when I was putting this presentation together, it was really interesting because I found this study that was cited by Forbes, of which, it was speaking to design and how it interacts with users. And what they found was that design elements are exponentially more powerful than content in terms of mistrust. So when they asked people that they were researching why they mistrusted a website, 94% of comments were directly related to web design elements. So this is that first impression I was referring to, right? Essentially what they were saying is that the design contributed to their ability to trust the website, and by an extension, the business. All right, so let's go over some design elements that cause mistrust. So first and foremost, you want to avoid these things because people that don't trust a website are, there's so many options out there in terms of information. They're probably just going to go back to whatever search they originated from, hit the back button, and leave your website. So, when it comes to making a good first impression from a website, you have literally a fraction of a second to keep your users on your site. So what are some things that can chase some users away? Busy or outdated layouts. We've all seen these. Sometimes you've seen websites that look like they were designed, back in the early 2000s. It's been 17 years at this point. There's been a lot of progress in that respect in terms of design and website design. The next is being pop-ups, so flashy ads. We've all dealt with this, at some point or another when you're visiting a website. A lot of news websites do this. So, when they'll have a lot of ads and they'll have a pop-up ad and you can't really get to the content. It's frustrating, so you just, hit back and look for that story later. So it's the same thing with users. They don't want any distractions, and these are distractions that are going to frustrate them and chase them back to search results. The next is small or difficult to read text. Again, this is just something that users are not going to spend too much time on figuring out themselves, especially because we've all been so conditioned to now have mobile-friendly websites that if it's not already shown in a way that's on a mobile device in a way that you can easily read the text and you don't have to pinch and zoom on the device, then the people are more likely to stay on the website. The next is going to be a boring design. So this kind of goes into busy or outdated layouts, and this is a little subjective, but essentially what this means is, having a monochromatic layout or just not having too much, not having enough color, like that type of thing. That's pretty boring, and if they can find the information, they may stay, but it doesn't make a very good impression. It kind of plays into the outdated layout because there's just, the websites nowadays are just so dynamic that, it kind of works against you if the design is boring. And then that kind of plays into lacking color as well. On the flip side, it is possible to have too much color. There are definitely some websites out there that use some terribly contrasting colors, and it's distracting. And you don't really want to dig through all of the different colors to get the information that you need. And then finally, this is probably the most important, is slow load times. If your website takes, I believe, longer than 3 seconds to load, people are just going to hit the back button because everyone's on the go, right? Like, it doesn't matter whether you're sitting on a computer or if you're on your mobile phone. At this point, accessibility to internet is, pretty pervasive. So if it takes longer to load a website, then people are just not going to deal with it. All right, so I did want to give you guys an example of what that kind of looks like. And honestly, this one isn't that bad, but there are definitely some room for improvement here. The first being, get my laser pointer here. This right here is what we call flash design. This has been outdated for some time now. So you can tell that a website still has what's called flash because of this somewhat pixelated, image where you can kind of see the pixels, especially here on this face right here. And what this does is Flash is really no longer supported because it's not very mobile friendly. So mobile friendly this image will kind of resize itself is essentially what's supposed to happen to fit the screen. And what'll end up happening with Flash, it'll really just mess with the layout and have it look the way it's not supposed to. This sort of, the black and purple, the color layout scheme is okay, but, this is pretty simple in the background, so it could use a little bit more design in it. And then, this form right here is probably also not going to respond to a small device, and it's going to be kind of difficult to fill out. So this is something that, the person should consider updating. All right, let's move on to navigation. So navigation really refers to the ability for people to go up to the navigation bar and really find the information they're looking for. And actually, research by the user interference engineering company showed that people cannot find the information they look for on a website about 60% of the time. And I've had that happen as well, where I can't navigate the site, and what I'll end up doing actually is I'll go back to Google and sort of refine my search query to go back to the website, and hopefully Google has found the information I'm looking for on the website. So, that's an added step that users really shouldn't have to do. So let's talk about some common navigation mistakes, and this is actually something that I've seen quite a lot on some of our dental websites. And the first being is that having a non-standard style. So a non-standard style is referring to a navigation bar that does not appear across the top of a website, or above the fold. The fold being, if you see the bottom of the screen where it cuts off underneath before you have to scroll, that's below the fold. So anything above the fold is something that immediately loads and shows before you have to scroll. There's some navigation bars that do appear what we call below the fold, and that's just, it's ideal to have it up higher. And then on a mobile device, it's 3 lines on the menu bar where your thumb can accessibly can reach it. So those are some standard styles, and putting the navigation anywhere else, frankly, goes against what users are conditioned to. And obviously, you don't want to have them search for the navigation bar. That's just an added step that they're not going to deal with. The next being having too many items on your navigation bar. So this is actually something that I see happen a lot with dentists, and they'll put, their home menu, and then they'll put on a page for every single one of their doctors that may be at the practice, and then they'll put on all the different services that they're on there. They'll categorize them, they'll be drop-down menus, but it's just a lot of items on a navigation bar. So a rule of thumb is actually to have 8 items or less. And then piggybacking off of how many items, you're going to want to put your most important items at the beginning and the end, with your contact information usually being at the end. That's just standard practice. And the reason for that is because people typically don't remember what's in the middle. So like, you guys are probably not going to remember most of what I say right now, but you're going to remember the beginning and probably the end. So that's just something to consider with navigation. Essentially, what you're trying to do with a navigation bar is, don't require visitors to think about where they need to go or how they need to find it. It should just be intuitive and readily available for them. All right, so let's move on to content. And this is specifically referring to the pictures that you may upload or some of the copy that you may upload onto your website. And there are a few mistakes that can happen with that The first being that, some of your web pages may have no purpose. So in order to overcome that mistake, you'll want to ensure that you include specific calls to actions. A call to action is, just it's marketing jargon for saying providing next steps for the web page, right? So um, let's say, for example, someone is talking, you have a page on fillings in general. Next steps could possibly be learning about the different types of fillings if you offer both amalgam and composite, right? And then on another page, like say for example the contact page, you're going to want to provide steps to contact you. So either that's by providing a phone number, by specifically calling out call us at phone number, or um, by you'll probably want to say, call us at your phone number or fill out this form on the contact page. And you're giving clear direction to your users on what they should be doing next. Okay, so the next thing would be having too much copy. So we've all seen this type of thing where you go to a website and it's just a lot of copy. And university websites, if you've ever been there, are notorious for this, where they will just put all, just paragraph after paragraph after paragraph that's hard to digest, and it's hard to find what you're looking for because a lot of users will actually just skim the pages. They won't actually read through everything. So, and a way to avoid this is by creating concise content. It's digestible by breaking it up, using bullet points, headers, just structuring your content on your page makes it a lot easier for users to understand what the page is about. And essentially, you want your page to get right to the point. On the flip side, not having enough copy is also something that can happen. So you'll want to make sure that you include enough messaging to educate visitors and convey your expertise. So you're definitely walking a line between too much and not enough. It's not something that's necessarily, uh, you know, you can have blanketed statements to update all of your pages, but trust your instinct. If you're looking at a page or if you ask someone to read over your page, they can probably help you articulate and improve your pages on where you can break up some copy, maybe define or reword a certain sentence so that it's a little more concise and straight to the point, and just do a little bit of wordsmithing. And finally, one of the biggest mistakes is probably having content that is sloppy. So you'll want to make sure to double check your grammar and spelling because having mistakes like that can look bad and make you look unprofessional. All right, so let's talk about mobile websites. And the reason I keep bringing this up is because, not only is it really important for users, it's something that is actually a ranking factor and has been for the last 2 years or so. So on Google, so it's something that at this point, most websites or most doctors should have a website like this. There's so many options at this point that having a website that's not mobile friendly is strange. So here's an example of what a mobile friendly website looks like versus a non-mobile friendly website. This is actually this is a real website. You can see here, you can tell the doctor's name. This is just my sample site. And then the navigation is here, and there's some, quick icon buttons that are very intuitive. So if I click here, it just calls. If I click here, schedule an appointment, email, or find the location. These are standard icons, and most users know what they mean at this point, so they're very easy to understand. And then, of course, if you scroll down, the rest of the content is lower on the page. This, for example, this page here is a page that actually doesn't look like this on a desktop. And this is what I was referring to, is when the layout is outdated, it does some funky things when it shows on a mobile device or a smaller screen because it doesn't exactly know how to show up on a screen that's smaller. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you some ways that you can update your website on Pro Sites. So we're going to go over here. All right, so I've already logged into my, test site. This is a trial that you can sign up for and play with on our website. So I've just went ahead and signed up for it. So this is the home, I guess the home page of the dashboard, and this is what my website looks like right now. It's okay, but this is one of our older designs. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to update it to a more modern design. And that's actually very easy to do. All you have to do is select the site. So this pink one I'm just going to go with because pink is my favorite color. And hit publish. And then I can look at the site, and that's it. That's all it takes. So if you are a ProSites member and haven't updated your website in the last year or so, I would definitely encourage you to look at the design styles that are now available. We have all of these responsive design styles. So, these would be something that you would want to update if you don't have it already. Okay, so the next thing is going to be like updating my content. So let's say, for example, here, this is some of our stock content, but we obviously encourage all of our members to add some of their own content because it's just nice to have your own brand, voice, and personality on your website. It's an extension of you and your practice. So, giving that personality to your website is definitely encouraged. All right, so say, for example, I want to update this. Let's say this. Please browse through our website and give us a call if you have any questions or would like to schedule an appointment. Okay, so I can, this is a pretty generic sentence. I can definitely provide a clearer call to action here. So browse through our website. That's kind of generic. A lot of people aren't going to know what that means. And so let's just say that I want to add a few words and say, and learn about the services we offer for you. Let's just pretend I'm a family dentist. So I'm going to add for you and your family. So what I could do here, oopsie, I already have a typo. Learn about the services. Okay, we offer. All right, here we go. Learn about the services we offer. So then I'm going to go here and go to procedures. So what this is doing is I essentially hyperlinked to another page called procedures. And at this point, I should have already updated the website to list all of the procedures that my, imaginary practice offers. So here, people can actually click on it and learn more, right? They don't have to necessarily go up to the site. They can if they want to go to the nav bar because it's right there, but it's just an additional way of providing some next steps. And then I can just wordsmith this to say, be sure to give us a call at, I'm just going to make up a number, 555, 555, 555. All right, if you have any questions or would like to schedule an appointment, right? So here, if I would like to schedule an appointment, maybe, I can also link this one to a contact page. So we'll go ahead and just link it to the contact for now. That's something that you can do to add to modify some copy. Yeah, so here's that part. Let's see. I don't want to change any items on my navigation necessarily because let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items. Okay, so let's see, FAQs, smile analysis. I could probably move FAQs under our practice. So I'm just going to try that out. Just because they're very similar and I think FAQs under our practice makes sense. Or you know what? It would probably make more sense under contact. So we're going to move it under contact. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to the website editor. And those changes should have happened already, so they should be saved. And then I'm just going to go to FAQs. So what this says is this is the tier level. So the very top buttons on a navigation page are tier 1, and then anything that expands a menu, the pages underneath that expand, like for example here, appointment request, is a tier 2 page. And you can see what tier the page is on because of these buttons right here, right? So here I see the appointment request is a tier 2 page that's under contact. Well, I want to move FAQs to my contact page. So I just went ahead and moved it down with these arrows, and then I'm going to hit this button and it's going to turn this in FAQs into a tier 2 page, and I'm going to move this back to a tier 2 page as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and publish that. And then refresh the site. All right, so here we have FAQs and appointment request. So it's very easy to condense your navigation menu if you need to. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, that works. We can keep that. Okay, so these are some tips, that you can implement onto your website right now. Obviously, if you need any help, please feel free to call your member services or member services department, and they can help you embed any copy that you have, or move your navigation bar if you need to. I understand that some people, although it is easy to learn, it's for some people they just don't have the time to deal with it. So our member services team is always here to help. All right, so we're going to move on to creating websites for search engines. Okay, so building a website for search engines is, it overlaps a lot with building it for a user, because ultimately it's the user that's using the search engine to find you. But there are some technical aspects that you need to implement onto your website so that it makes it easier for search bots to crawl your site, which means that they'll actually go looking through your site and figure out what it is that you're saying and index it. So indexing means that they'll memorize they'll memorize where your pages are, what type of content you have, and they'll essentially store it in a library so they can return it in search results. So search engine optimization will actually, search engines will actually look at your website and the website's linked to your website to determine how relevant your practice is. And about 50% of local search ranking factors are dependent on a well-optimized site. So I'm just going to talk about optimizations that we do to the site. SEO has two components, things that you do to the site itself and things that you do to the network of sites that connect to you. We're just going to be talking about edits on the actual website. Okay, so there's a few things that you could look to update in order to get better search engine results. Like I mentioned, mobile compatibility. That's actually now a ranking factor, so it's very easy to update to a responsive site or a mobile-friendly site on our own website. If you already have a ProSites website, it's literally a click of a button. Just go ahead and do it now. And then the next is going to be to update the metadata. So metadata is copy within the coded structure of your page. And it has many purposes, of which I talk about in many of our SEO webinars. But what it essentially does, it helps understand the search engines on what your page is about. The next is going to be copy. So obviously the copy itself is going to help search engines understand your website. So you'll want to, as you're writing your copy for users to give them information, you'll want to use keywords that they use to search for that information within your copy, because then that signals to search engines that this whatever you're providing is relevant to search queries or to searches. The next is going to be URL structure. So what this is essentially saying is that you need to have a clean URL structure on your website, and that's something that I can actually show you. See, for example, here's where my domain would be normally if I had one, and it says /procedures. So that URL structure is essentially telling Google, hey, like this page is about procedures, and with all of this copy about procedures, they're going to be able to look at this collectively and understand this is about dental procedures. If I move on a little further to cleanings prevention, I automatically already have the URL structure that's optimized for search engines. And between the URL, the head, and then the copy, search engines and users are going to understand that this is about cleanings and prevention. All right, and the next is going to be internal links. So you know how I was just adding a bunch of links to different pages from the home page? So those are called internal links. So essentially what you're doing is you're connecting one page of your website to another through the copy. like searchers, spiders will actually, or crawlers will use these links to discover new pages that may be buried a little deep into your website. These are very helpful for both spiders and crawlers because it helps them discover new content. All right, so what are a few things that you can do now to implement local SEO? First, or optimization for local SEO. The first is going to be to optimize your website for users and search engines. I've already showed you how to do some of that. So in order to obtain a list of keywords, you can use what's called an AdWords keyword planner. And you're going to need a Google Gmail address or something in order to access this tool, but it is absolutely free. And what you can do is you'll enter a few words and it'll give you a list of keywords, and then it'll give you search volume, and then it'll give you just a lot of data to help you decide not only what keywords to target, but which keywords are probably worth targeting. The next is going to be to update your content with those keywords. So once you have the list, you know which keywords you want to use, you can start writing your copy and adding it to your website so that it includes those on your website. The next is going to be to include contact forms that can be filled out by a mobile device. Most of our contact forms already do that, so just adding something would help. And then, of course, get a mobile-friendly website that ensures a great viewing experience across every device. Like I said, with our platform specifically, it's a click of a button, so that's probably the easiest one to start with. There's some more some more tips that I've included to update your website pages specifically, like including social media icons, practice name, phone number, hours to your contact page. This is all information that Google relies on to understand where you are in real life geographically, so you'll want to have that updated as best as possible. Also, personalize your pages to give visitors an idea of your practice's personality, and add new content to your website, by utilizing a blog and posting a new article at least once a month. So the reason why this is important is because crawlers and search engines are incentivized to go back to your website more frequently if you're adding content on a regular basis. Now, obviously, you don't want to go changing your website too much because that's pretty labor intensive if you're doing it too much. So the best way to do this and give you some authority on the topics that are discussed in dentistry and help answer some questions is by adding a blog. And then next, you're going to want to update your metadata on each page. So metadata are going to be title tags and meta descriptions. So I'll show you guys what that means right now. All right, so I'm going to go back to my home page. And this is just a free tool that I use to help extract the metadata from the page, because as you can see here, it's actually not evident on the page. So here, for example, Temecula Dentist, my name, right? This is something that I just threw in real quick to show you what that is. So this is a type of metadata, and it's called a page title. This page title shows up here at the top, but it's actually, as you can see, not anywhere on the page here. This is coded in through tags that are all called metadata. And then so that's something that you're going to want to optimize for, or optimize, and you can do that by adding keywords here. This is something that, as you sign up for a ProSites website, it's already done for you on the homepage, so you could use that as an example. The next is going to be a meta description. Now, this is a brand new site for me, so I haven't added anything here, but essentially what a meta description is just a short paragraph, about 150 characters, like more like a tweet, right, or something you would use on Twitter. And then what it essentially does is it tells the users what the page is about. So it gives like a short synopsis on what they're running into. So if I were to optimize this meta description now, let me go ahead and take this off. I'm going to go to my welcome page. All right, so here I have, this is where you would go to edit your metadata. I'm going to add a meta description. Call Fanny Barrientos, DDS, located near the mall in Temecula, California. Okay, so what I did there, it's a very short, meta description that basically gives people a couple of things. It tells them I'm a dentist. because it says DDS, right? Or I could say the word dentist, you know. And then I tell them where I am. Um, Here it says Temecula, California. So search engine will actually put this together, right? They'll see DDS and they'll see Temecula, California. Okay, that means there's a, you know, I'm a dentist in Temecula, California. I'm just going to provide a phone number. And they'll put these two things together. So in search engine results, I wonder if it'll show. It'll actually pull this information and you see here, it'll pull that page title. So this here, it'll pull it and show it in blue here. And then this here that I've written out, it'll typically show here in the gray. So by including keywords in both the page title and the meta description, users can then decide to click through to your page. You want users to click through to your page because how often users actually click through to a specific page will help signal to Google that there's interest on that website, and eventually it'll cause it to rank higher. Okay, so definitely take advantage of this here. Just do some light optimization. So some of the keywords that you get off of Webmaster Tools, just include them on each of these pages that you have on your website. And that should help improve some of your visibility. There's a little more that you can do, but this is definitely a step to help you. Okay. Oops. All right, the next that I'm going to give you is this is a tip that's not necessarily about the website, but it is something that's very important to your website, so it's just kind of a freebie. And that's to claim and verify your local business listings. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail for that because I've provided step-by-steps in this, but basically what this is saying is by claiming and verifying your local business listings, especially Google, you're confirming your geographical location to those local directories and having a clean presence that, you know, cleaning up your name, however it shows up in Google Maps, or cleaning up however your name shows up on Yelp or anything, so that you know all of the information across directories is the same, is that's a positive signal to Google because they can locate you a little bit better. And what that essentially does, it helps create or give you visibility in the snack pack. So the snack pack, if you go back to Google search results, that is this. So if you have a clean presence, so if your name, address, and phone number appears the same across all directories or all major directories, you're more likely to show up here. Okay, and the next is going to be to obviously track your success. Okay, so you can't really know whether you're making any improvements to your website unless you track using Google Analytics. And for ProSites members, this is something that's already implemented. As soon as you sign up for a website, all you need to do is contact your member services representative, and they can actually give you access. So by getting access to Google Analytics, you'll understand how much traffic you're getting to your site on a monthly basis or even on a daily basis. And you can start to understand what your website is doing, and then if you decide to implement something like an SEO program or PPC or social media, you can start to understand if your traffic is growing from those specific channels. So I would definitely encourage you to contact your member services rep and get a hold of your Google Analytics account as soon as possible, because if nothing else, even if you don't implement anything, it's good to know what's happening with your website and what type of traffic you're getting to it. All right, so I'm going to give you guys some resources. So this is a list of resources that you can actually refer back to about SEO and PPC. I definitely encourage you to go back and see and learn a little bit more about those specific channels, because, you know, frankly, just having a website at this point is not enough. You're going to have to put some work into creating some online visibility for your website. So definitely go back and look at this. This first blog post is just a general overview of how local SEO works and how it's affecting your practice. This blog post, duplicate listings, is something that I touched on with having clean information across business directories. So this will actually lay out why it's bad to have not clean information, and then how to fix it, and specific scenarios that cause duplicated information. I touched on blogging. We have some content on that. And then, of course, understanding the difference between search engine optimization and pay-per-click. Both of them refer to search engines themselves, but how and where they appear and how they work are very different. And then if you need help verifying or claiming Google Business, I've provided some free YouTube tutorials that'll walk you through that as well. And then I encourage you to download this guide on pay-per-click and local SEO if you want to get a higher level overview of SEO and PPC first before you dive into the blogs. All right, and as always, we're always here to help. If you have any questions, please feel free to call us at the phone number here, or you can email us at service@prosites.com. If you have any questions about this webinar, please feel free to post about it on social media, or we are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So if you have any follow-up questions, I'm here to answer those. So, okay. I know that was a lot of information, and you're probably, right now staring at your screen, deer in the headlights, and that's okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and start answering questions. Maybe, if you have any questions on something specific about the presentation that I could help clarify, like I'd be happy to do that right now. Just go ahead, go to your GoToWebinar panel, and just start typing some questions, and I'll get to those shortly. Okay, so it looks like we have a couple. Just 1 second. Okay, so here's a good one. How long does it take to verify a Google Maps listing? So it actually doesn't take very long. You'll just want to ensure that you're at your practice when you do this, because you'll need to answer an automated phone call from Google. So, just before you start the process, do it maybe just a little early before you have any patients or anything. Just get in front of a computer, follow the tutorial videos that I provided from YouTube, and what will end up happening is as you go through the process, Google will send an automated phone call to your business phone number. Just answer the call and enter the PIN code that they'll be giving you, and at that point your business is verified on Google Maps and you're good to go. Let's see. Okay, so here's a good question. When should I add SEO or search engine optimization to my online marketing strategy? I mean, SEO does take some time to take effect. It typically takes about 3 to 6 months before we see any progress, because search engines, crawl websites and update information at their discretion. So, if you're going to make any optimizations and you want to be ready, say for example for December when people are looking to use their benefits and use those up, you'll want to have some sort of traction, I would say, at that point. So starting as soon as possible will help you identify all of the information that you need to optimize, and it'll help you tweak things here and there along the way so that you can be ready by the time December comes around. If you're looking for something that's a little quicker, and you know exactly what you want to show up for, what services you want to show up for, I would advise using pay-per-click advertising. Pay-per-click advertising, you can start seeing results within a couple weeks. It doesn't take nearly as long as SEO. So if you're more of, I just want to run this quick campaign, or I just want to like quick visibility right away, then definitely consider PPC. Oh, this one's interesting. Is it possible to use too many keywords? Yes, in a way. So when you're writing content, you'll want to consider how those keywords sound within the copy. There's up to a certain point, it's very natural to repeat the same phrase over and over again to the copy, but if you do it too much, so if you're obviously just trying to get that search phrase in there, it shows. So it's definitely something that's very subjective, but try to find a balance between mentioning a specific keyword more than once, and then you can also mention keywords that are related to each other. Google does understand the relationship between words, so you don't always have to say dentist and Temecula in that specific order. You could say Temecula dentist, or you could say DDS and Temecula. Those are all keywords that are related to each other. So if you have, any variation of that on one page, then Google understands that. But having dentist and Temecula repeated over and over and over again throughout the copy is not, it's going to sound weird. And so you want to avoid that. Oh, interesting. This is a really good question. How do you get visibility on maps and other GPS apps? We show up on Google search and have great SEO, but for some reason do not show up on phone GPS app searches unless you specifically type in our office name. It's really interesting. So I think the first thing I would probably suggest is if you have great SEO, is it something that you're not showing up for on Google Maps, but do you show up on Google Maps but not in other apps? Because, like, say for example, Apple Maps. I don't know if people know this, but Apple Maps has been trying to improve their maps. It's been kind of a mess the last few years. And so if that's what you're referring to, just all the other different apps like Waze and Apple and all those, I would definitely recommend updating your Google Maps listing if you haven't already verified that information. And see if they start picking up on it. I'm not exactly sure how GPS through those how they get that information, but I do know that they rely on Google Maps and I do know that they rely on local business listings. So try optimizing those first and see if that helps. Another thing that you can do is once you have verified your Google Maps listing, you can actually modify where the little marker shows up on the map. So modify or update your listing and then check to see if the marker is showing up in the correct place, because it might just be a matter of GPS trackers not understanding, just having the marker off to some place it's not accessible, or for some reason there's just, um, there's a disconnect with the data. So just ensure that your marker, like this, for example, this little red bubble, is showing over your building, over the entrance to your building. All right, I think we have time for one more question. Okay, so this one's interesting. It says, do hashtags help? No. So activity on social media is not going to directly impact your search visibility on search engines. It does, however, help drive traffic to your website from social media platforms, which is a different channel. So, doing things like having a presence on social media, having some engagement on there, and including hashtags could help drive traffic from social networks. If you're interested in social media, we do have a white paper on that as well. If you go to Pro Sites, we have this resources section, so you can actually look it through. If you go to white papers here, I'm just going to type social, see if I can find it. All right, state of, all right, here we go. Running a dental practice in the age of social media, that'll actually give you some tips and understanding of social media marketing for dentists. So it's right here under the resources tab. You just go to white papers and then look through the page and look for running a practice in the age of social media. All right, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the presentation. Thank you again to everyone that joined today. Thank you for taking your Friday to learn a little bit more about websites and by extension marketing. So again, this recording will be sent out to you within the next following business days. And I just like to thank you for joining. Have a great day.